ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತ ವಕೀಲರ ಒಕ್ಕೂಟ ಐಲು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸಮಿತಿ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಪಡಿಸುತ್ತಿರುವ ಅಂತರ್ಜಾಲ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ತರಬೇತಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರ, ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಎಪಿಪಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮುನ್ಸಿಪ್ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯುವ ವಕೀಲ ಬಂಧುಗಳಿಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕೋವಿಡ್-19 ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ನ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಕೀಲರು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಾದ್ಯಂತ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನು ಕೆಲಸವಿಲ್ಲದೆ, ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಕಲಾಪಗಳಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತ ವಕೀಲರ ಒಕ್ಕೂಟ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸುಸಂದರ್ಭವನ್ನು ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಕೀಲ ಸಮುದಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಈ ಸಮಯವನ್ನು ಸದುಪಯೋಗಪಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು ನೀಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅಂತರ್ಜಾಲ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ತರಬೇತಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರದ ಒಂದು ವೇದಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಆ ಮೂಲಕ ಯುವ ವಕೀಲರಿಗೆ, ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಹಾಗೂ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಕೀಲ ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೆ ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಅರಿವನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸುವಂಥ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಮೂಲಕ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಗಳನ್ನು ಸಂಘಟಿಸ್ತಾ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ವೇದಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಕಳೆದ ಮೇ 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಿನಿಂದ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾದಂಥ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಗಳ ಕುರಿತು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಉಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯ ಪ್ರಧಾನ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಸತ್ರ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಶರು ಹಾಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚುವರಿ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಸತ್ರ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಶರು ಹಾಗೂ ಕಿರಿಯ ಮತ್ತು ಹಿರಿಯ ಶ್ರೇಣಿಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಶರುಗಳು ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಪರಿಣಿತ ಹಿರಿಯ ವಕೀಲರುಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಪರಿಣಿತ ತಜ್ಞರುಗಳು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು, ತಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವದ ಅಮೃತವನ್ನು ಈ ಒಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ 102 ದಿನಗಳ ಕಾಲ ನೀಡ್ತಾ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತರ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸದ ಒಂದು ಧ್ವನಿಯ ಸುರುಳಿಯನ್ನು, ವಿಡಿಯೋ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗನ್ನು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಐಲು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಅನ್ನುವ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನಲನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆ ಐಲು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಡೆದಂಥ 102 ದಿನಗಳ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಚಿತ್ರೀಕರಣಗಳನ್ನು ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳು ಈ ಒಂದು ಐಲು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಲಭ್ಯವಿದ್ದು ತಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ವೀಕ್ಷಿಸಿ ಅದರಿಂದ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳು ನಿಮಗೆ ಲೈಕ್ ಆದಲ್ಲಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಅದು ಮನಮುಟ್ಟುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಅದು ಸಂತೃಪ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬನ್ನು ಲೈಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಆಗಿ. ಇನ್ನೂ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ತಾವು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು, ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
Production of documents right from the plaint till the end of the stage, just before the case is posted for the judgment. So this is the tenor where the party should speak in the written language. So if that is not happening, if he is silent, files the case, and if he becomes silent, that will work against his case. So the ascertainment of the facts, ascertainment of the truth is very important in adjudicating a case. In this regard, the responsibility is also cast not only on the plaintiff and the defendant, but also on the honorable judges. Very important to note this point. So in this regard, before going to the session, I would like to read out from the Supreme Court case in Maria, Margarita and Jack T. Sequeira. See, Honorable Supreme Court clearly states in para 42, this is in regard to power to order discovery and the like, subject to such conditions and limitations as may be prescribed. The court may at any time either of its own motion or on the application of the party. This is what I was referring to. Either of its own motion, that is, it can by suo motu, it can order, or on the application of the parties, make such orders as may be necessary or reasonable in all matters relating to the delivery and answering of interrogatories, the admission of documents and facts, the discovery, inspection, production, impounding and return of documents or other material objects producible as evidence. Further, issue summons to persons whose attendance is required either to give evidence or to produce documents or such other objects as aforesaid. So it is very clear, not only the plaintiff and the defendant, it is not only the parties, it is also the court, it is also the honorable judges, it is also, they can take suo motu action in this regard and order for any party to be present to produce the documents as ordered. Further, in Malimat Committee on Judicial Reforms, they heavily relied on the fact that discovering of the truth, the judges of all courts need to play an active role. So this Malimat Committee very clearly says the judges, it recognizes the responsibility of the judges in what? In discovering the truth. That is to say, the discovery provisions, the right of discovery provisions, the duty is not only cast upon the plaintiff and the defendant, but also on the honorable judges. So it says, in the adversarial system, truth is supposed to emerge from the respective versions of facts presented by the prosecution and the defense before a neutral judge. The neutral judge, that is to say, is an umpire. Is neutral is to say the judges are not tiltable. So it is said neutral. The judge acts like an umpire to see whether the prosecution has been able to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt. The state discharges the obligation to protect life, liberty and property of the citizens by taking suitable preventive and punitive measures which also serve the object of preventing private retribution, so essential for maintenance of peace and law and order in the society. So this is what the Malimat Committee says. Now, first thing is silence is a danger. Silence either by the plaintiff or by the defendant or parties concerned or including the advocate representing the plaintiff and the defendant and also by the judges are detrimental to the judgment, to the adjudication of the case. Now, so let us say it can be understood that this procedure of discovery is to compel the other party to produce documents on which they are relying on. This is other than the evidence. When such particulars regarding the case are asked through the questions and they are termed as interrogatories. And if the other party is requesting documents, then it is called discovery of documents. So the interrogatories and the discovery of documents. So section 30 and order 11, rule 1 to 11, 21 and 22 of CPC covers the interrogatories. When with the leave of the court, either parties administer a set of questions on the other party, then it is called an interrogatories. Interrogatories shall be confined to the facts. It cannot be conclusions of law. It cannot be construction of words or documents. Construction does not take place or inference from the facts. No, under CPC, this is known as the right to information by the parties. The party to whom the set of questions were administered shall give reply to another party in writing under the oath. Discovery of interrogatories means when the party, while giving answers to the interrogatories, discloses the nature of the case with an affidavit duly sworn. So as per the provisions of this code, any party in the suit can file an application to obtain an order from the court to ask for interrogatories from the other party. So after filing the plaint, when the written statement is filed by the defendant, And when the court sends summons to the parties for the first hearing, if any party feels that there is a gap in the facts, then they can file an application under the section and ask for an order from the court. Now, so what is the main objective behind this discovery provisions? Interrogatories is to determine the nature of the case. Find the nature of the case. When it is not clear from the suit, it is filed. Because any adjudication of the case, any proper adjudication of the case depends on the whole truth. That is the complete truth. If it is morphed, if it is partial truth, if some truth is not within the knowledge of the court, then it cannot adjudicate the matter properly. So there is a derailment of justice. Therefore, discovery play a vital role in adjudication of the civil cases. This also makes one's case stronger, making the party to admit facts. So interrogatories make the parties to admit the facts and to destroy the case of the opponent. There is a message that I have to explain it in Kannada. Wherever it is possible, I will try to explain it in Kannada. In fact, my senior colleague, Mr. Dhananjay, intended to explain this session in Kannada. Because of his ill health, ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಖಂಡಿತ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕ್ಷಮೆ ಇರಲಿ. There was a private message. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು okay. ಈಗ ಮತ್ತೆ to recap, see, what does the interrogatories do? It helps to determine the nature of the case. It helps the court to find out the whole truth. The whole truth. The interrogatories, the discovery provisions helps the court to ascertain, to collect the whole truth in the matter so as to adjudicate the case based on the truth. Otherwise, there is a derailment. If the facts are partial, if the facts are half, morphed, not brought to the knowledge, the documental facts are not brought to the knowledge of the court, if it is ignored, willfully ignored, then what happens to the justice? We will not be in a position to attain justice. Therefore, these discovery provisions are essential, and discovery provisions must be invoked by every advocate in possibly in every civil suit in order to attain justice. Now, the willing party to deliver interrogatories shall apply for the leave to the court and shall submit a proposed interrogatories to the court. As per Rule 2, the court should decide the matter within 7 days of filing the application. Within 7 days of filing the application, the court is to decide. So as per Rule 2, we apply, and within 7 days, the courts are to decide on the matter of the application. So while deciding the matter, the court should take, what should the court consider while deciding this application? What are the matters that the court should take into consideration? Any offer which may be sought by the party to be interrogated to deliver particulars, first, to make an admission, and to produce documents associated with the matters in question, and any of them. So all these the court has to consider before deciding the matter. The court shall consider whether it is necessary in a particular matter to dispose the suit fairly for saving the costs, not only saving the costs, saving the time. So court's time is very valuable. When you see there are over 3 crore and odd cases that is pending in our country. So it is not delay in justice. I would say it is denial of justice. 3 crores 50 lakhs of cases are pending adjudication in the country. That is to say, at least 7 crore litigants are facing the trial which is not adjudicated. If you take their family members and connected members, it is almost 30 crores of people are awaiting justice in one way or the other, in one case or the other in India. One of the reason is also these cases have got stuck at some point of time. So they are stuck. So there is an obstacle. Possibly that obstacle could have been solved if discovery provisions would have been invoked in those cases, in majority of the cases. Because the discovery provisions are not invoked regularly in all the cases, the adjudication, the time of adjudication takes place. There is a pile up of cases. Therefore, there is such a backlog of cases. And now, so within 10 days of the service, the affidavit to answer shall be filed by the party to whom the interrogatories are administered. So if the party fails to comply with such an order, so what can be done? The suit can be dismissed if it is by the client. If it is by the defendant, evidence can be hissed and struck off. So these are the two possibilities that the court can take into consideration. Any opposite party can apply for an order for allowing the party to deliver interrogatories to another party. Both parties, or if there are multiple number of parties can apply for an order from the court. This means that plaintiff can apply for an order from the court to be administered to the defendant, and the defendant can also vice versa do the same. In some of the cases, the plaintiff and defendant can administer the interrogatories on the co-plaintiff and the co-defendant. So, and on whom the interrogatories may be allowed by the court. So, Rule 5, Order 11, any party to the suit which can be, it can be an individual, it can be a corporation, it can be a body of persons. So, which may be incorporated or not incorporated. It is not necessarily a company incorporated. It cannot be, may not be incorporated, but empowered by the law to sue and to be sued on its own name, seal, and signature, giving any other person responsibility to sue or any officer against whom the interrogatories can be filed. If a body corporate is a party to the suit, then interrogatories, it shall be specifically mentioned that to which person the officer, the questions are to be served. So this is to say how important the discovery provisions play a major role in adjudication of the case. So, but the court has the power. Interrogatories which are filed as per the form provided in Form C, Appendix C, Form number 2 of CPC, which requires variation as per the requirement. The filling up of the said form may vary depending upon the case and depending upon the circumstances of the case. The reply to the interrogatories is also filed in an affidavit in the form provided at the same Appendix C, but Form number C of CPC. So now, what are the objections that can be raised by the parties? So interrogatories are filed. What are the objections? So primarily, it should not be scandalous. Interrogatories should not be a scandalous interrogatory. It must not be irrelevant. So it must be relevant to the case. It should not be irrelevant. The courts will not entertain such irrelevant things. So questions that are not exhibited, which is bona fide, matters which are inquired into are not successfully material at this stage, that is still not ripe at this stage, and on the ground of privilege. What is privilege? Privilege is public interest. If any interrogatories which are detrimental to the public interest, public good, then court may say no, not necessary. This interrogation is not entertained. So, while replying to the interrogatories, if the opposite party does not give sufficient answer, if he ignores, whether he ignores or he willfully ignores to give an answer, then the party who administer the interrogatories can apply for an order from the court for ordering the other party to reply sufficiently. The reply is not sufficient. Then also the party can apply to the court to make an order to reply sufficiently. So that is to say, an order from the court for ordering the party to reply sufficiently. The court shall pass an order to the other party after giving them sufficient opportunity to be heard. If the party who fails to reply to the plaintiff, then the suit will be dismissed for want of prosecution. If the party is the defendant, then as I told you earlier, it will be considered that the fact has not been defended. So, as per Rule 22, Order 11, the opposite party can use the answers of the interrogatories. There are answers, there are admissions that can be used by the interrogatories as a form of evidence, partly or in whole. But at the same time, the court shall check. It becomes totally useless. It becomes waste of time. Therefore, the responsibility is now on the court to decide whether it is relevant or irrelevant, whether it is necessary or not necessary. If there is partly necessary or fully necessary. Any portion of that is necessary. So it is the court. Now, as per Rule 6, the parties can object some of the interrogatories, not all. So they cannot object every time. If the parties want to object the interrogatories, then within 7 days of service of such interrogatories, shall file an application to the as per Rule 7, Order 11 of the Code. So, interrogatories which are made to be related to any matters in issue, can be, it can be questioned. By matter, it means the question or an issue which is related to the dispute in the suit. It need not be an issue which arises from the dispute. It is not necessary to be an issue. So it must be connected to the dispute. Interrogatories shall not be disallowed. It shall not be disallowed or discarded merely on the ground that there are other ways to prove the fact in question. Just because there are other materials available to prove the fact in question, the interrogatory is allowed. So this is such a strong law. This is such a, see, the discovery provisions, this is so strong. So the interrogatories cannot be allowed. Prima facie, it cannot be disallowed by the court, even though there are other materials to prove the facts of the case. So interrogatories are not same as pleadings. They need not be the material facts on which the party is relying upon. So there can be evidence by which the party wants to establish at the trial. Interrogatories are not allowed. So interrogatories which are used when the facts laid down in the suit are not clear, when there is no clarity, when there is doubt, when there is ambiguity, and certain circumstances, the discovery of the facts cannot be applied. When there is an ambiguity, when there is no clarity, it cannot be applied. So it constitutes evidence of the opposite party. It involves the disclosure of public information or interest. So, interrogatories which are in the nature of fishing or proving inquiries are not allowed. Questions in the nature of cross-examination shall not be asked in the interrogatories. Cross-examination is separately different. Interrogatories are separately different. So, it cannot be a mixture of cross-examination and interrogatories. So, cross-examination, the questions in the nature of cross-examination cannot be asked in interrogatories. Questions of law are not permitted. This is another thing. Questions of law are not permitted because it forms a portion of other trial procedure. Questions which are not bona fide or irrelevant to the case shall not be as in the interrogatories. Now, how to setting aside and striking off interrogatories? Rule 7. Setting off, striking off interrogatories. See, if the interrogatories are unreasonable, if it is vexatious, if it is prolix, if it is oppressive, if it is scandalous, if it is unnecessary, then it can be set off under Rule 7. So, to cite a case, in the case of Govind Narayan and others, in Rajasthan High Court observed that importance of interrogatories and the time period which it shall rely upon filed by the party, the court held the following. Reading section 30 with order 11, rule 1 of the court, it makes it clear that the courts have discretion to allow service of interrogatories at any stage of the suit. Any stage of the suit after the written statement is filed until the adjudication. This is what I was trying to say in the beginning of the session. After the written statement is filed and until adjudication, that is until it is posted for orders, anytime interrogatories can be filed. This is of such an advantage in adjudication of the cases, in experiencing, in preparing, in forecasting a fair trial. This is very important. So it allows service of interrogatories at any stage. So the information asked under the interrogatory shall have nexus with the dispute in question. So there must be a connect. This connect is very important. The word connect is very important. The interrogatory, everything that we try to bring in through interrogatory should have a connect, direct or indirect. The stage of the suit shall be significantly considered by the court. At the same time, it is to be understood that the main purpose, the procedure is to save time and cost by encompassing the issues, by narrowing down the disputes. How can the disputes be narrowed down? By ascertaining the full facts, by ascertaining the whole truth, and this interrogatories, this discovery provisions help the court in attaining fair trial, in obtaining unbiased, proper justice. So now there is no appeal in interrogatories. So in case the application is not allowed, if it is disallowed by the court, there may be a question in your minds. Can there be an appeal to the High Court? There can be an appeal to the higher courts. There is no appeal allowed in the cases where an order for granting or rejecting prayer to administer interrogatories to the other parties pronounced by the trial court. That is to say, the order which is granted or rejected under this provision is not considered as a decree. This is not a decree. This is very important to note. See, the order either rejecting or considering the interrogatories is not a decree. So therefore, applicable for an appeal. Appeal is not allowed. Revision is not allowed. So now, revision under this section is also not encouraged by the High Courts. As per section 115, the matter decided by the court is at the discretion of the court and said to be the case decided. The High Court interferes only when there is an order which is clearly illegal or wrong. Till then it does not. So it can be understood that there is no appeal interrogatories and there is no revision. And when the adversary party, when the opposite party is simply compelled to disclose the documents, when is compelled to disclose the documents which are under his possession or his power, then that is called as discovery of the documents. So what is discovery of the documents? We were talking about the interrogatories. This is what amounts to discovery of documents. When the adversary, the opposite party, he is simply compelled. When he is compelled to disclose, to produce the documents which are in his possession or power, then it is called the discovery of documents. The discovery of documents is covered under Rule 12 to 14, 12, 13, 14, Order 11 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Now, any party to the suit under oath may apply for an order from the court for the discovery of documents which are related to the matter in question of any suit from the adversary party. Now, against whom this discovery may be ordered, against whom this can be ordered, the honorable courts can order any party of the suit to depose of documents which are in power or in possession as per the party. However, the party need to be related to this suit. So it is not only the plaintiff and the defendant. If the court feels that any other party other than the plaintiff and defendants or the contending parties, if the court feels it necessary, if the court feels it is fit that to produce a document from another party, it can compel by order to be present in. They must also have some connect to the suit, whether direct or indirect. If you take in a partition suit, for example, if there are 5 brothers and 6 sisters, and the partition suit is filed only by 4 brothers and 3 sisters, the court can compel, can order the parties who are not parties to the partition suit. So the conditions are, while the discovery of documents are being asked, 2 conditions need to be taken into account by the honorable courts. That is, the discovery's order is necessary for the disposal of the suit. Such discovery should be helpful, should influence, should create a necessity to adjudicate the matter, and if it can save the costs. And as I told you earlier, I repeat, it will save the time in adjudicating the matter. Save the time, meaning valuable time of the honorable courts. So, in regard to objections of discovery, the party can raise an objection if the documents required to submit comes under the purview of privileged documents. If it is a privileged document, he can raise objections. He is free to raise objections. Objecting by filing an affidavit would not be enough. Just by he files objections by an affidavit, that would not be sufficient. The party who is objecting also needs to give proper reasoning behind such objections. He has to reason out why it is a privileged document, why he will not be in a position to produce that. So there has to be, his application, his objection must be supported with reasons. But there must be proper reasons behind such objection, which will enable the court to decide the objection raised by the party. Even then, it is open to the court to inspect the documents. Court can always seek the documents it can inspect and then decide whether it is a privileged document or not, to check the viability of the objection raised by the party. So another objection which can be filed is that discovery is not necessary at this stage of the suit. It will not be entertained generally, but a party can say that stage has already surpassed, we have come ahead of the case, and at this stage the discovery when is not necessary because we already crossed that stage. However, in privileged documents, the court will consider the objections. In most of the cases where where the stage is passed and discovery is sought, the court will still allow. So the documents which are asked under the discovery of documents are not always admissible in the court. It is not always admissible. it can be rejected or it can be partly admitted. So the documents may be admissible in the case if they are relevant to, if it is relevant to the case. If it is relevant, there must be a relevance which may have some impact on the issues dealt under the case. Otherwise, the court can always reject such applications if it is irrelevant. If it finds out that it is irrelevant, it can always reject such applications. So, Rule 12 of Order 11 is considerably wider than the Order 13, Rule 1 of the Code. The right to obtain discovery of an adversary documents is very wide and not limited merely to the documents which may be held to be admissible in the evidence when the suit is ultimately tried. So the Rule 12 of the Order 11 is considerably wider than that of the Order. So it is true, in suitable case, the defendant may object the production of documents on the ground that it relates solely to his title. If it is his title, his evidence, his title. But on the other hand, the document may have some bearing support. So such an objections cannot be validly raised. If an order for discovery is made under Rule 12, whom the order of discovery is made, defendant consider that he is entitled to protection in respect of production of any particular documents which may be entered in an affidavit under Order 11, Rule 13 of the said code, he will be liberty to raise such objections at proper stage of the proceedings, and when he is ordered to produce such documents under Order 11, Rule 14, or to give inspection of them under the Order 11, Rule 18. So in Calcutta High Court, where it was sought to distinguish between the judgment of Andhra Pradesh High Court in a particular case under Order 11, Rule 14 of at any time during the pendency of any suit, this is a repetition. See, at any time during the pendency of any suit, to order for the production of the document. The word any time is very important. Any time, so significant. It's very, very important. Significant it is. So the discovery of documents can be ordered any time. Rule 14 does not require that the order for production should be made only after the order of discovery is obtained under this order. So documents that is disclosing the evidence, documents which are related to the evidence of the adverse party cannot be ordered by the court. So if the document is related to the evidence of an adverse party, the opposite party, it cannot be ordered by the court. Such orders can be detrimental because if it is administered to a party which is restricted to this court. So now what is the privileged documents? So explaining the privileged documents. Privileged documents are covered as in the from the British law, it is the Crown's privilege. Now to the present situation in a democracy, it can be understood that public welfare is the highest law. During British time, it was the Crown's. Now in a democracy, is a public welfare is the highest law. So therefore, when discovery provisions, when it is invoked, be it interrogatories or discovery, and if it is going against the public good, against the public welfare, in such situations, doctrine is given very importance. This is the doctrine. Public welfare is the highest law, is given importance by the honorable courts. It does not mean that justice shall not be paramount. So this doctrine, when followed, when adopted by the honorable courts, does not mean to say that justice is not paramount. Justice is paramount. Thereby, when parties use it as an umbrella of defense, then under such circumstances, the court has the right to verify the admissibility of such defense. Court will come to a conclusion whether it is public welfare or not, whether it is public good or not. Then it will come to a decision. The right to verify the admissibility of such defense after checking the document, the court can decide on the matter. So, assertion by the party will not be entertained or accepted by the court. It is the court that decides this matter. So now, while ordering for a discovery of documents, it shall not be oppressive order by the court. So the order cannot be oppressive. When it is ordering for the discovery of documents, it cannot be oppressive. The court, while issuing its, while using its discretion of power, shall consider two questions. First is relevance, whether it is relevant, whether is it important, whether it is important to order for such discovery. The court should come to a conclusion. Whether it is impossible for the administered second, whether it is impossible for the administered party to give the documents ordered under discovery. So therefore, it should not be oppressive. If the order is oppressive, then if it is not possible for the party to produce such documents under discovery, therefore the order should not be oppressive. So now, the general rules of the discovery. Any party can get an order from the court, as I have informed you. Any party of the court can get the order for the discovery of documents or for the inspection of the documents. Can be for the inspection of the documents. So there is a difference between the discovery of documents and inspection of the documents. That we will delve with. So it is the discretion of the court to pass such an order. The court can use its power at any time during the suit. Also by suo motu, by its own decision, it can order by an application of the party to produce certain documents for inspection, to produce an order for a discovery or for interrogatory. So it is the power of the court. The court, however, shall not pass an order for discovery, inspection or production until the written statement has been filed by the defendant. This is so after filing the suit, until the written statement is filed by the defendant, the court cannot pass an order for the discovery or for the inspection or for the production of the documents. So no such orders shall be passed if the application is made by the defendant until he has not filed the written statement. This is clear. So discovery of the document shall not be made if the court is not of the opinion that this order will lead to fair disposal of the suit for useful or saving of the cost. If the court comes to the conclusion based on the facts of the case that such discovery, such interrogatory, such production of documents is not going to help the proper adjudication of the case. If it comes to the conclusion, if the honorable court comes to the conclusion, then it need not order for such. It can reject the discovery provisions either by the plaintiff or made by the defendant. So a party to whom an order of discovery is made, order for the discovery of documents is made or has been passed as a general rule, shall produce all the documents which are under his possession related to this. So the court can take suo motu. In the recent case, a recent writ petition at High Court of Karnataka, which was virtually heard, in which I am the counsel, the Honorable Court suo motu ordered. It ordered a board to become a party and to produce so documents. Though the amendment of including a party is made by the plaintiff, the order pertaining to producing the documents by the Labour Welfare Board was made suo motu by the Honorable. That is the power of. So court can invoke the suo motu powers in adjudication of the case, which will help abundantly in adjudication of such cases. Now, if the parties are taking any legal protection under the privileges provided under this code, then the court should verify such documents and give protection. First, court should verify. It should order, take the documents under its custody, court should consider the documents, it should see the documents, it should verify the documents. On due verification, it has to come to the conclusion. So it's not mere rejection straight away. It has to order, understand, then ascertain that this is a privileged document, and then make an order along accordingly. So failure to comply or default from the side of the parties to the order of the discovery, production or inspection of documents can lead to adverse inference on the party. So under Order 11, Rule 12 to 21 of CPC, the rule for the inspection of discovery is provided. As per Rule 12 of the Code, the party can compel other parties. So the court can compel other parties to produce the documents without filing an affidavit to apply to the court relating any matter of question related to this. However, such documents need not be admissible in the court unless they give out some connection in the matter of the controversy. So as per the Rule 15 to 19, Order 11 of the Code, the inspection of documents can be divided into two categories. The first is the documents which are referred to in the affidavits or pleadings of the parties. The second, the documents which are not referred to in the pleadings of the party but are in the power and possession of the parties. These are the two categories. So as per Rule 15 to 19, Order 11 of the Code, inspection of the documents. So these are the two categories. Parties are allowed to get their inspection of the former category of the documents and not the latter one. That is, the documents which are not referred to in the pleadings of the party but are in the power and possession of the parties, that cannot be inspected. So privileged documents. So dwelling again on privileged documents. What are the privileged documents? What is the public good we are talking about? So first is public records. That's a part. There are certain confidential communication, including the communication between the client and the advocate. It's a very confidential, privileged communication. So such things cannot be ordered to be produced before the court, either for the inspection or for the interrogatories or for the discoveries. Documents which have exclusive evidence of the party's title, such documents, and ascertain the validity of the claims which are made to make the set of documents privileged or underprivileged. If it is privileged, then the court will take a stand by not allowing it. If it is not privileged, then court will also take a stand by allowing such production of documents, discoveries, and the interrogatories. So, as per Rule 20, a discovery is termed as premature discovery or inspection when the right of discovery is based on the determination on any issue or question in dispute, or for any reason, it is desirable that any issue or question in a suit should be determined before deciding upon the right of discovery. That is, if it is a premature discovery, it can be withheld. If it is a premature discovery, it can be withheld. It cannot be rejected, it can be withheld. So, non-compliance. So, as per Rule 21, the order of the court is binding in nature. So, it is binding in nature. Once the court order is made, it binds the parties in question, and the parties who do not comply shall be liable to a penalty. So, they are liable to a penalty if they don't comply. So, therefore, we can understand that the intent of the legislature is to provide such provisions, is to compel the parties to disclose all the material documents and facts on oath. So this is oath, on oath. So it compels the parties to disclose all material documents. That is to say, the whole truth, we can say, the whole truth must be presented before the honorable courts. When discovery provisions are invoked properly, the entire whole truth will be produced, provided before the honorable courts, so that the proper adjudication of the civil matters take place. This will also restrict the parties from coming up with new documents as and when they require, which are actually in power and possession of the party during the trial. So that it will also prevent that when discovery provisions are invoked, it also prevents the parties coming as and when they require, they want in order to deviate the case, then they will come with a particular document. Till then it is kept as a secret. So that should not happen. The court has the discretion to postpone a premature inspection of discovery. So that is to say, it can be withheld. Under such circumstances, the first thing the court shall do is to determine that question or issue and afterwards deal with the discovery. So when the time is right, when the time is proper, then that discovery will be taken into account. The main logic to this provision is to enable the court to distinguish, to separate between the difference of deciding an issue in the suit from deciding the suit itself. There is an issue to be decided, so many issues to be decided, and then the suit. Therefore, if it is a premature production of a document, premature discovery, premature interrogatory, then the court can postpone, it can withhold until that stage comes, because the court have to deal with issues and then with the suit itself. So the importance of such provision is that if the defendant denies complying with the provision, so it will be deemed that the defense from the defendant's side will be struck off. Straight away, it will be struck off. The importance of such provision is that the defendant, if he denies in complying with the provisions, it will be deemed that the defense from the defendant's side will be struck off. And that will restore the position of the defendant to where he had been, as if he had not been defended. So, as if he has not been defended, it will take him back to that position, that stage. So, in that case, if the plaintiff does not comply, so if the plaintiff does not comply to the provisions, then it can lead to an adverse effect. That means the plaintiff will file a case as a fresh suit. In defendant's case, he will go back to the stage where he has not been defended. In plaintiff's case, it will be a fresh suit on the same cause of action, and res judicata will be applicable. Therefore, non-compliance of discovery provisions will impact case adversely when invoked. So, Order 12 on admission basically means the voluntary acknowledgement made by the person against his own interest. So it can be an important piece of evidence against a person himself. So it can either be in oral, it can be print, it can be electronic, or it can be any documentary in nature. So admissions are different from the confession, which are made under the criminal law. So in the civil law, admission is weaker than the confession because the parties have the right to prove the admission made earlier was false. So there is an opportunity here. However, the assertions are different than admissions. So it can be made in favor of themselves, it can be true or false. Therefore, assertions are not considered as an important piece of evidence which can be used against a person. So I will read out a Supreme Court in the case of Bharat Singh and another versus Bhagirathi. It is very important. So admissions are substantiative evidence by themselves. But as per section 17 and section 21 of the Indian Evidence Act, they are not conclusive in nature. However, if admission is proved beyond doubt and duly proved, then irrespective of the fact, if the witness appeared in the witness box or not, so irrespective of the fact, if the witness appeared in the witness box or not, the admission can be considered as admissible. This is what the Supreme Court has ruled. So, in the case of Vishwanath versus Dwarka Prasad, the Apex Court, the Honorable Supreme Court observed that the admissions that are made by the maker himself against himself, unless otherwise provided or explained, the admissions are considered to be proprio vigor. That means a phrase which is by its own force. So in another case, the Supreme Court held that even if admissions are may are not made, not communicated to other person. So admissions made are not communicated to another person, then also that can be used against him. So for example, if a person has written in the accounts book regarding a debt, then such evidence is available. Then that will be considered as an admission even in the debt and not communicated to the other. So now this subject was to be addressed today along with the Supreme Court Advocate Mr. K.V. Dhananjay, because this subject has to be dwelled at length. The depth of the subject is very, very, very thick, and as we go inside, we find out so many. We tend to get doubts, and that needs to be answered. That needs to be addressed. It's a very important subject. Therefore, his attendance was due to a viral which has attacked him yesterday, and he's bedridden. It would be ideal that I and Mr. K. Dhananjay jointly address this session to all of you. And if you have any quick questions, that can be addressed to me.